You're listening to the Game Tenants Podcast.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Tenants Podcast, the failed adventures of two gamers and their quest for Gamecast stardom. This is episode 37, and I am one of your hosts, Church of the Game Grinder, and as always, joined by my co-host,
Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming. It is great to be back. How's everyone doing?
Yes, been a little while here, about a month-ish since our last episode.
I hope you guys noticed and missed the hell out of us.
Yeah. If not, is what it is, I guess.
I missed us.
So we'll be doing kind of a lot of like catch up. You know, not all the bits we'll talk about today are super relevant, but then again, when it comes to gaming, isn't it all relevant?
Yes.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So then, as we said in the last episode, what we'd like to start doing here on out at the beginning of every episode is just kind of go over some community comments, either from the posting on YouTube, SoundCloud, or any messages like on the video shares on like Twitter or Facebook. And we actually got a few comments. We usually get some comments, but officially now, since we're doing this method, we'll just kind of talk briefly about some comments, give some shout outs to people for contributing, which is always a good thing.
Hells yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have feedback.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll just go down the list here. Down Phoenix said, "Thanks for the shout out, guys. Good show." And
Well, it's like a shout out inception.
yes.
It's a shout out about a shout out.
right. Because we had mentioned his the video that was every NES Classic video compilation parody. That was like a community video that was pretty great, and still would recommend checking that out.
Definitely.
And then, of course, the last episode we had John the Retro Bro on, and he said, "Thanks for having me on, guys. It was a blast." And of course, thanks for joining us. We had a good time.
Yeah, it's always good to have a guest on. Add someone else to converse with.
Yeah. Get a little bit more, community going. Then we had BioPhoenix, who has been a longtime supporter. I mean, all these guys have really. But he says, "Good episode. Thought Star Fox 2 is pretty good, but I'm still not getting the NES or SNES Classic since it's going to be a big headache later on, and I can play all the games as is." And that's pretty true.
True that.
But I'm a sucker, and
so am I.
so our plans are to get the SNES Classic more so just for the novelty, if anything, I would say. But the Star Fox 2 thing is cool, even though you can get the ROM and emulate it.
Like I said, if I had to go through all the trouble that everyone else seems to go through to get things like that, I probably wouldn't bother either. But it's not nearly as hard where I am, which is a total flip-flop from every other thing. Like my Walmart or area just seems to be the last to get anything, or lucky to get it at all. So
right.
I'm lucky to have at least one thing I can get with ease.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last comment we got was from Retro Bossman, and he says, usually likes the podcast, but the special guest is toxic and traded his brains for muscles. The only thing special about Retro Bro is you dominate the Special Olympics. And I would say everybody is entitled to their opinion. I've never had any issues with John.
Very nice to me, but everyone's entitled to their opinion, as you say.
Yeah, and
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and we appreciate any feedback, of course, negative, positive, or just pointers or things like that. So keep doing that, and every guest might not be for everybody, and we're just trying to bring in different areas of the community and get some conversations going. So
you bet.
Stick with us. I'm sure next time we'll have a guest on. Maybe you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, we like just We like to be friends with everybody.
Yeah. Yes. So then, with that said, I would like to encourage everybody to, comment and, let's get more of a conversation going. You can kind of, refer back to previous episodes and things like that. So I think the comments thing can be a pretty fun thing coming up.
Comments, suggestions, things you'd like us to talk about, whatever.
Yeah.
We are very open to ideas and general comments on what you think we should be doing.
Yeah, totally. So then we will move on to our usual opening segment of what we have been up to over the last couple weeks, but we will expand this a little further. So, I don't know, anything worth mentioning that you've been up to lately. So, why don't you take it away and let us know what you've been up to, Jason.
Well, guess what? It's not been all work.
Yes.
For the last week, it's been a solid block of nothing but work and sleep.
Yeah.
But I had last weekend off, and I played some Vidya.
Heck, yes.
Yes, I felt like a triumphant return, just sitting on a couch and playing a game. Or actually, more accurately, standing in the middle of my living room playing a game.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done a video about it yet, but as you know, I recently picked up the PlayStation VR, and it is awesome.
Yeah, totally.
It's my first real experience with the VR since ever. Virtual Boy doesn't count. That was the last. That was the last thing I even tried with virtual in the title, besides like maybe Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
So
and
this is definitely at least a slight upgrade from the Virtual Boy, in just about every way.
Pretty much everybody. Well, there's a few people who I've read that they didn't really care for the experience. I don't know how much they got to try different games and things like that, but for the vast majority of people, everybody who actually gets to sit down and like play with a VR headset and play some games, like kind of beyond expectations, like surprisingly.
Yeah,
so.
Well, the price it's going for, I expected it to be pretty awesome, but I was actually blown away right out of the gate with it. It's something to behold. People who kind of shun it and go, I don't need that crap. Just give me a controller and I'm good. That's basic. That's usually me. But as we were talking about in previous episodes, that we've been really wanting to get into this and try it out and how cool it was. And I was saying, like, I'm not paying the price it's going for because in Canada, just the starter pack with the Move controller bundle and all that is $700. And I'm like, how many PS4s does that come with? So I got mega lucky and was on Facebook one night, and lo and behold, someone had a PlayStation VR bundle with a couple of games. Resident Evil 7 was included in that, and they were asking $400, which is already a pretty badass deal.
Yeah,
that's $300 and the tax off. Showed it to my wife. She's like, that would be really cool. She's like, I've always been interested in VR, and just the thought of it just sounds amazing. And especially since I'd shown her the Star Trek game we also mentioned on a previous episode, and she's like, yeah, she loves her Trek, so she was just like, oh, that would be so cool. So I was just like, I should get it. And we had a out of town trip for my daughter's surgeries. Araya, who does the unboxing videos with me on my channel, she had to get tubes in her ears and get her tonsils and adenoids out. So she's bounced back quick. She's fine now. But she says, yeah, maybe if it's still available when we get back from the trip, yeah, maybe you can get it. Try to get it for a deal, but she's like, yeah, we could probably save up for it. So I messaged the lady, and my strategy was I'll offer 300. And then when she says no, I'll ask her, do you think you'll meet in the middle? 350? So, I messaged her the initial offer, 300. I see that she sees it almost immediately, probably like within 5 minutes of me sending it to her. Then nothing. Then about like a couple hours, maybe the next day later, she just goes, "Yep." I was just like, "Yes, I love skipping that second step."
Yeah.
So I snatched it up as quick as I could, and saved up a bit. Since I knew I really wanted to get it while we were out of town, I actually snagged a couple of cheap VR games from EB Games, which is the Canadian version of GameStop. It's the exact same store, just still called EB Games.
Yeah,
and
that's always, but not to derail here, that's always been weird because we used to have EB Games here as well.
Yeah, in the electronics boutique.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird. It's just kind of like a Future Shop and Best Buy.
Yeah.
You don't have Future Shops down there, do you? At all in the States?
No.
Yeah, I think we have, I don't know if we have Best Buys up here, so I'm pretty sure it's the same deal with that because it's like the exact same store.
Yeah.
I don't know why they can't just get along and keep the same name because some of these promotions I hear about, like the 4 for $10 GameStop deals, and they're like 70% extra trade credit that people are taking advantage of. Would have been nice while I was there, but not complaining. I got a couple of the VR games that were no longer available around me anywhere, and I got them for like dirty cheap, as I do. And finally, I picked up the Star Trek game and revealed it to my wife, and she was actually really excited and didn't cut my head off for buying it.
That's always what matters most.
I call that a win. I also, for the first time in a long time, pretty much since we've had kids, my wife and I spent a couple nights just gaming, playing with it. We both took turns. Unfortunately, the Star Trek game was really in depth, very kind of complicated, and she's not really into that. So she's like, well, it looks really cool, but she's like, that's just a lot to remember and all that. She's like, it's something I'd probably enjoy watching you play more. She's never been that huge of a gamer. She's more of like a old school kind of game, like really simple basic games. And we played like a lot of the Ultimate Alliance games and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff she likes to play. So that was kind of a miss. She still thought it was awesome, and I put the headset on her so she could look around at some of the vistas and different areas when I was playing it. So she thought it was cool in that way, but it just wasn't for her play-wise, which is fine, as long as it's interesting to watch. And then that's pretty much what we played that night. There was also like the little free Spider-Man Homecoming experience thing. That's kind of what we did while we waited for it to install, because I forgot to install all the stuff and have it ready when I showed it. Because my first time ever setting it up was like 5 minutes before showing it to her. I was just like, hey, stay upstairs after we put the kids to bed, but don't fall asleep. And I set it up quickly in the living room. And then we played the Spider-Man one. It was kind of just like a target practice with web shooters, and then you like encounter the Vulture and then swing after him, and then it's just like, go see Spider-Man Homecoming in theaters right now. And I'm like, I already did. Just let me fight the Vulture. So anyway, that was pretty much my first experience was Spider-Man, and then Star Trek. Then the next night, we immediately fired up Until Dawn: Rush of Blood, because she's like, I want to. She's like, I want to try the scary one. And I was like, all right. So naturally, she went first, and I was like, hey, you trying it out? Because I kind of knew what to expect from it. So she loved it. She's like, this is unreal. And
sweet.
And we actually, the next night we played it in my game room downstairs, and I have an air conditioning vent that's like pretty much right above the couch in the game room. And when you're in an amusement park and you're about to go inside the haunted house thing, it's always just cooler in there.
Oh
it
yeah.
just kicked on just as we started playing, and it totally set the mood. Like, oh man, I actually feel like I'm in this place because it just started. It was pretty cool. It was a cool little added feature.
Awesome.
I guess I could have just flipped on a fan and had the same effect, but it was it added to the coolness, and that was her favorite one by far. So that won her over, and she was like, "Oh, this is awesome." So we played that for a couple hours. After that, what did we play after that? Of course, we played Batman Arkham VR, which was the game I had to have. I could not have the VR without having Batman. It just wasn't going to happen. And immediately I put it on, and then still in the menu screen, I was like, all right, sorry, I love you guys, but I'm keeping this on. I'm Batman now. Yeah, it was just a surreal experience the whole way through. It's only like, I don't know. I kind of take my time with stuff. I'm sure you could beat it in probably like 45 minutes or an hour. I think it took me like maybe an hour and a half just because I was just in awe of
looking around.
small details and stuff, just getting sucked right into it. The only thing that sucks is as I mentioned, the vent being right above the couch. I was standing to play because they recommended you stand, so I was like, ooh, this is gonna be different. So there's a part where you like throw batarangs, and I'm just lost in it. I just punched the vent above me while throwing batarangs. Not hard or anything, and like the Move controllers have those little spongy balls on them, so it didn't do any damage to that at all. But it was kind of funny, and a couple times I got like a little bit turned around. I don't think it would have been a fail video by any chance, but I almost bumped my head. So
Sure.
It was funny. It was a good time. And she didn't try that one out, but she said this looks so cool. Like there's a part where you're in like crime alley, or you're in an alley, and I like just put it on her head. And she's like, "Wow, it's like you're in Arkham." And like she's like, "I feel like I'm right there." So it looks cool on the TV because like it plays on the TV too, so you can see what's seen. But it's a lot. I think the resolution's a lot lower on the TV than what you're actually seeing in the headset. So when I put it on her, she's like, "Wow." She's like, "It looked cool on the TV. This is just next level. This is awesome."
Yeah, it's completely different.
So,
and you can pretty much do that with all the VR headsets, with the Oculus and the Vive. You can watch on the PC whatever the person's playing, but it's nothing like actually putting on the headset.
Yeah, it's just like watching someone's video of their vacation, and then you're like, this isn't anything like it. It was unreal when you were there. So this is pretty much like that's the best analogy I can make. Like watching your video you took from a concert is nothing like when you were actually there. Like you get the whole environment. So that's the best way I can describe it. So far I have 7 VR capable games, and we've only played the 4. I really want to get into Resident Evil. That actually bumped up Resident Evil to probably being my next game I play.
Man, I really want to play that in VR.
And I've got the VR Worlds that we didn't try yet. That looks really cool. A game where you like explore a planet you land on called Robinson the Journey. I had seen that at Walmart when it came in, but unfortunately by the time I got the VR, it was gone. I think it must have sold like the week, because I swear I was like looking at it after seeing it on Facebook. And then Job Simulator, just because it looked hilarious, and a lot of the best. Like I watched a lot of like top 10 best VR games videos, and it came up pretty close to, if not the top of a lot of the lists. So I was like, well, my instincts were pretty sharp on that one then. So I just want to make sure I don't get a stinker, because every technology gets that like half-ass game where where it's just jank and none of it works.
Right.
I didn't really want to watch me be excited about a game, and then that's the first experience I have with the VR, and I'm like, oh, this thing's kind of a piece of crap, but it turns out just the game's a piece of crap.
Right.
So yeah, I did my homework there, and I think I got a pretty good lineup so far. I really want to get Psychonauts. I think that's probably one of the next games I really want to get. It's a cheaper title too, so that's probably going to be the next one. Eve Valkyrie looks really cool too. And the one I'm glad I didn't grab, because I saw it when I was out of town, was Farpoint, the game that actually comes with a gun. Sometimes there's a bundle with a gun and there's a bundle without.
Okay.
And when I seen the gun, I was like, yeah, that's just like the PS3 gun you could buy that you just put the move controller in. I'm like, I don't need that. I've already got enough move control. Like, I got excessive move controllers now. And then I did a little bit more research, and it turns out, no, it's just got the end on it that looks like a move thing. You actually can't use your move controllers for it. So I majorly dodged a bullet by not just grabbing the game itself when I seen it, because I think it was like, yeah, it was pretty cheap. So that's probably why, because you need the gun to play it. So I don't know why they would ever sell it by itself.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's the thing. I still want the game, but the bundle on Amazon is crazy expensive. It's like almost, I think it was like $200 or something when I checked. That's US. So yeah, and the game itself is only like $40 or $50 by itself. So you're like, wow, it's one of the few games that's full price, like a full price game. So it's still up there. I really want a good shooter game because I love shooting at shit, but it's gonna wait till I can find the gun at least.
Sure.
So be on the lookout for me down in your city, your metropolis, with more options than just Walmart or nothing.
Right.
Yeah, so that's all my blabbing. I'm just excited I got to play some games.
Yeah,
I played a bit of
glad.
Switch too, so I'm glad I got to remember I even have the Switch. I've been bringing it out. I got a case for it finally, so I've been bringing it to work a little bit, and I've been enjoying it. I need to get some more games for it for sure. But yeah, what have you been up to, good sir?
All kinds of things. This last month has been crazy busy. So anybody listening, part of the reason, well, not so much one of the reasons the podcast was delayed, but as far as videos on my channel goes, I'm kind of on a little hiatus as I'm doing a lot of renovation stuff around my house. It's taken exponentially longer than I expected it to.
Yeah,
painting. I was like, I'll get painting done in 2 days.
Yeah, you're like, this weekend I'm doing some stuff, and then it's leaked into, I am still painting baseboards.
Yeah.
Let it end.
I haven't got to painting baseboards yet, though, but I've got a lot done. There's a lot more to do. So that's why video work has kind of stalled out, but videos will be coming eventually, so bear with me if anybody follows the channel. But I have squeezed in plenty of time for video games, which is excellent. Kind of cranked through Horizon Zero Dawn. I finished that about a week ago, I think, at this point. Somewhere around there. Yeah, it's definitely a contender for Game of the Year. Fantastic game. Holy crap. The story is, I mean, the gameplay is awesome, but I absolutely loved the story, and I can't talk about it. It's all spoilers.
And you know, I have it, and I'm looking very forward to it. So please do not spoil, sir.
No big crazy twists or anything, but just the story itself is just awesome. Like, it's, there's only like so many stories that can be told. There's something like there's only like 7 story plot lines that people can use, but how they, like, the finer details of things, like seeing creative games, even these big AAA games that usually play it safe, like doing something kind of out there and delivering on it is, it's great. Absolutely great.
The risks are always worth it when they try to go out there and do something different. Like, we appreciate different. And some people seem to think that we appreciate repetitiveness and the same thing every year. Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that, there's the safe bets and they always sell well, where the risky moves don't necessarily sell as well, but they are remembered forever because they're such great experiences. They got that extra creativity and, care put into it that, a lot of big AAA games don't tend to get, which also connects to what I finally started playing, which is Nier Automata or Nier Automata. I've heard it said both ways. I think it's Automata, but which I don't like saying automata. I like automata. But here's another example. This game is off the wall. It's awesome. It's super cool, but like the presentation is just, it's crazy at times. You're doing straight up shoot 'em up games, top down shoot 'em ups to platformers to your standard open world action adventure beat 'em up game, and
Yeah,
just
it looks
the style. This game just bleeds attention to detail in the smallest ways, which just makes it jump out so much for me. Anyways, like the previous Nier did the genre shifting as well. I haven't played the original Nier. I have it, just haven't gotten to it, and
it
it's
was
like,
really
hey, I don't really need to play that to play Automata. I know all the story and everything. I did a bunch of research on the original Nier and the Drakengard series just to kind of get the background, which is really, really cool and just crazy as well.
Oh, they're both in the same universe, aren't they?
Sort of. They crossed over at one point,
Yeah.
and it led to the events of Nier. But man, I am really, really enjoying Nier. Again, I definitely see this game potentially being like Game of the Year material. And what's interesting is I've pretty much anytime anybody talks about these games, like they talk about all these endings. Like the game has 26 endings.
Well, shit. Get to work.
They don't all require full playthroughs. Like one of the endings is like, lose during the first, stage. And you get an ending kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff like that, but it is a game that does require like repeated playthroughs. I don't know to what extent, like if you have to play through the entire game again, which
like Game Plus.
At this point, I'm pretty much, I usually don't. That's not the kind of thing I do, but this is kind of one of those games that is sort of built around the evolution of these endings. To get like the true ending, you have to get like endings A, B, and C first, and then it unlocks this, and then you do this. Like those games, when they do stuff like that, I'll tend to check out more of that stuff. But if it gets to the point where I'm just like, it's just the same thing, just, ending's a little different, I can always go on YouTube and watch those. But really enjoying it. I'm trying to squeeze in every chance I get at this point. And I will say I absolutely love 2B's character for various reasons. She's a badass. And yeah, dad ass at the same time.
Dad ass with a badass.
Yeah, no, it's really enjoying it. I need to look up some of the voice actors. I'm recognizing some of the voices. The music's incredible. Like it's just beautiful music, and it does all these like dynamic changes. Like when you're in an area, like when you're in the heart of an area, like a lot of these songs have lyrics. It's just kind of this like made up language, but they'll be like super loud. And as you get to the edge of the area, it'll quiet down. And then like when you're transitioning to areas, like it's like this like almost like ambient echo and stuff, and then it shifts. And oh man, there's just so many little things that really make the game stand out to me anyways.
Well, that's awesome. I'm still waiting on my copy in the mail.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Your Amazon copy?
Oh, I didn't buy it on Amazon. You just haven't sent it to me yet.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna buy it on Amazon. It was on sale, but with me putting in my 2 weeks and quitting at Walmart, I'm just gonna scale back until I have
safe
another extra. Yeah. So I'll wait.
One thing I will say that's kind of neat. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's been a long time coming, and I've needed to get out of there, and I'm in a good spot, but I still just want to get everything figured out before I buy some more stuff. I've got plenty to
Got a few
trudge
video
through.
games.
Just a couple
Yeah.
that I need to catch up on. 'Cause I've been working 14-hour plus days every day for way too long, and it's time to play some catch up. So I don't need to really worry about grabbing anything new for a while.
For sure. One other mention about Nier Automata is there was the collector's edition, the black box, that is like crazy expensive now. It's going for like $400 to $500. It's awesome. I so regret it. I had many opportunities to get it. I didn't, because I didn't know about the game to the extent that I do now, and one of my biggest like gaming regrets of not buying. But what's kind of neat is I was just looking to see what was out there. I check every once in a while. Maybe somebody is, throws it up on eBay for super cheap or something. Who knows? But apparently, I guess this is not like super uncommon, but some Chinese companies will make knockoffs. And
really?
So when I first learned about these Chinese knockoffs is there's a series of, they're like 12-inch statues that they made for the Hyper Dimension Neptunia games.
Okay.
Like these really cool statues. And this Chinese company apparently made knockoffs of these statues because one of my friends has some of these Neptunia statues. I was like, whoa, those are really freaking cool. He's like, oh yeah. So I was doing some research and seeing how much they were, and all of a sudden I'm finding them for like $40-$50. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I talked to my friend, and he's like, oh yeah, those are probably the Chinese knockoffs. And I was like, how do you know? He's like, well, I mean, the price is a giveaway, but apparently some of the fine details might not be as spot on, but you can pretty much buy these knockoffs. But anyways,
yeah, they're usually like a $200 thing each, aren't they?
Yeah. And the Nier Automata black box came with a really cool statue of 2B, and I think it's 8 to 12 inches. I don't know how big it is, but the Chinese knockoff one is it's only 6 inches, but it's only $20. So I went ahead and decided to order one of those. So hopefully it's not completely misleading from the pictures that they showed, because a lot of the listings from different sellers seem to be using a lot of the same pictures, which is kind of but I figured for $20, take a risk. Maybe I can get a little cool statue.
Exactly, the one where she's standing on the pod or the robot head or whatever it is.
Yeah, the exact same statue, but it's smaller.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now on AliExpress. It's like
I didn't even look on AliExpress.
Yeah, PVC TikTok anime, it says.
Huh. Interesting.
Well,
I'll have to look on the AliExpress. I need to spend more time on that site, especially when it comes to the knockoff reproduction stuff.
Yeah, repros are stuff will be flooded on here. I'll find a whole bunch, and I'll put it in my cart and go, okay, one of these days I'll just do a big order, and then I find a lot of the stuff just vanishes and you can't find it. I think I was talking before about how I had a whole bunch of SNES repros, a big set of ones I really wanted, and there was probably about 8 of them, and then they just vanished, and then I can't find a lot of them again. I'm like,
a lot of times
that's a real shame.
Small batches, just some individual that made up so many whatever, they're not necessarily doing it as a full-time business kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a shame, because I was just about to order. That's why I went on, because I hadn't gone on AliExpress in a while. I was like, oh, I should order those SNES repros, and I think I had a couple of GBA ones. There's a couple of Fire Emblem ones that we didn't get over here, and there was a Suikoden GBA game, and I was like, well, I got to get that, because that didn't come out here either, I don't think.
Well,
so I was just like, yes, and then they were all gone. I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah. Same as the Nier Automata black box. It's you snooze, you lose kind of thing.
Yeah, I said.
Well,
they'll come back, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. So besides Nier, I am still playing Friday the 13th. Slowed down quite a bit. Usually I'm only playing it at night when my brother plays or when I have some friends playing. Still having a lot of fun. Like, I don't even know how many hours I'm up to now. I have a lot of hours in Friday the 13th because it stays pretty consistent. Like, I'll play like an hour, half an hour a night or something, usually before bed. Yeah, so apparently I'm up to 145 hours. So
Yay.
it's an awesome game. If anybody, like, I don't know, you watch videos, it's just not the same. You gotta try it out. You gotta give it a good shot. Learn how to play the game. And it's a ton of fun. So much fun.
Yeah, I've got to get, maybe with my extra bit of time, I'll pick it up. Because, I was saying I've been kind of staying away from the online games, but that and Dead by Daylight have been calling my name.
Yeah.
Like, I love me some horror games. I love the idea of I've had a couple of people ask me about Dead by Daylight, especially with it, has a physical copy and it's pretty competitively priced, shall we say? And I don't know. I think I'm gonna hop on one, if not both of those. I really want to try the Michael Myers add-on for it once it's out too. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the near future with Friday the 13th. For the PC anyways, the player base is not the biggest. I think right now, like, we've been trying to kind of like keep an eye on like active Steam users that are playing the game, and it's kind of consistently stayed around like 3,000, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we're able to get in games pretty quick, and we do run into a lot of like just kind of like randos in various games here and there, but for the most part, like, it's still like uncommon for that to happen. And one thing I will say, and a lot of people are going to kind of be like, ooh, I don't know about that, but I think it's kind of cool, is there's actually a lot of kids playing Friday the 13th. Like, you're not necessarily saying you play a game you're going to end up playing with a kid, but it's frequent. And when I'm saying kids, I'm saying like 12 to 14-year-olds like that are playing Friday the 13th. And it's like, a lot of these people will be like, oh, what the hell are you doing? You shouldn't be playing a game like this. And I'm like,
fuck, that's weird when I got into that shit.
If I was 12 or 14, like, I would, oh my God, that would be like the coolest thing ever. Me being 12 or 14. I mean, a lot of these kids have never seen the movies and stuff, which is unfortunate. And I've encouraged it, and I've recommended like certain movies to them.
Well, yeah.
But, no, I think it's cool. And some of these kids, it's like, what's interesting is a lot of these kids that are playing, like, we'll look at their profiles, and like, they don't have a Steam history. Like, this is like the first game they're playing and stuff. And it's like, wow, that's super interesting that they're jumping in on Friday the 13th on the PC as like their first Steam game anyways. Who knows what else they've played, I'm sure, Minecraft and, Five Nights at Freddy's garbage and stuff. Not saying Minecraft is, I'm saying Five Nights at Freddy's is. I can't stand those games, but
those are kind of dumb bandwagon games for kids.
But no, it's cool, and it kind of gives me some
hope for the future.
Hope for the future, you gotta start them young, get them into the classics. They start playing this game. They're gonna get curious about the movies. They go and check out these movies, and all of a sudden, hey, there's a surge in interest in Friday the 13th, and who knows what will happen in the future.
I think that's around the time I got into it, actually. I think it was my 11th birthday. I had some friends over, and we rented. I was allowed to rent some horror movies. And it was Friday the 13th, Part 7.
Okay.
For some reason, we just started at 7. And the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I believe. So that was my first real horror movies. I'd watched a few, sort of horror movies, but as far as like classic genre horror, I'd seen Alien and stuff like that. So it's not like I was like, what's that scary thing?
Yeah, and I lucked out, and like I said, and I've mentioned this before, that like when I say I grew up on horror movies, like, I mean I grew up on horror movies. Like, I can't tell you the first time I saw Friday the 13th because my memories have since disappeared from that young of an age. Like, 2, 3 years old. Like, I grew up, like, hack and slash was my bread and butter, like, during my, like, first, like, 5, 6 years. Like, I love those movies.
They're lost in the ethers of infancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been interested in that kind of stuff, but my parents in no way were interested. Well, I think my mom was actually really supportive when I went, because she says that's stuff she used to like watching, but my dad didn't like it, so they never went to see it. So she was kind of like, yeah, this is, I think you like these ones. So she actually kind of like recommended them to me, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I was already like, I need to see a Jason and a Freddy movie, so it was not like it was a recommendation that I was going to go with, even if it wasn't a recommendation.
Sure.
But it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good to see the next generation getting into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I fully supported it with my kids. I mean, Araya was maybe, I don't know, 8 months old when we dressed her up for the zombie walk the first time. And she was not in any way phased by me, like, looking like daddy and then going in another room and then coming back just gray skin dripping. Well, I think you've seen my zombie photos before. Yeah. So I just done right up, dripping blood, and she just goes, "Oh, daddy." Like, that's just my dad. Sometimes he caked in gore. No big.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like, not much to say about it at this point, but I also finally received my backer's copy of the the Nintendo homebrew of Super Russian Roulette, which is Russian Roulette for the NES. Talked about it a little bit before. I do want to really make a review of this game, so I haven't had, just with doing like the home improvement stuff, like the couple times I have hung out with friends in the last few weeks, haven't really been able to do a lot of gaming per se. So hopefully soon I can play it. And actually, so kind of going into some maybe potential later topics. I've had some people recently with a lot of the Super Nintendo Classic discussion going on. People calling out people like us, like the collectors or the hobbyist gamers, that these, like, the NES Classic's not meant for us. Like, why are you getting that? You're never going to use it. You know, you got the cartridges and stuff. And actually, like, many times now, I've busted out the NES Classic when I've had friends over, or I've went to a friend's house and I'm like, well, I don't know what he has planned, so I'm just going to bring this along in case, we need something to do. And I've played plenty of the NES Classic.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, I've stated my love for it too. I have all the games on it.
Yep.
But it's just so compact and easy to bring everywhere. Like I said, I brought it to Florida. Bring it, when I go out of town. If there's nothing to watch in the hotel room, boom, plug in the NES Classic. You're good to go.
Yeah.
And as far as even at home goes, the games will work all the time.
Right.
As long as the ROM you have installed works, it'll always work. Whereas we all know the problems with cartridges. I'm not ripping on cartridges in any way, but sometimes it could take up to, 10 minutes playing around to get the Nintendo to read it or, stop blinking or whatever. So there's that. I'm not taking away from my love of cartridges in any way. I will continue to amass a huge stockpile of them. But that's what they're for. They're for convenience. They're for portability of your classics.
Yeah, and I don't exactly know how I got onto that, but back onto Super Russian Roulette. Hopefully, maybe the next video I might do, besides maybe like a little update video, maybe will be the review for Super Russian Roulette. Who knows?
We're expecting 2 solid months of 5 videos a week, right?
Yeah, right.
I guess if that's you, then I guess I have like 4 months of 10 videos a week.
Yeah, there you go.
I cannot talk.
Yeah. So I guess then with that, we will kind of run through some more minor news topics. As I'm sure a lot of people listening might know, this is kind of the slow time of the year for big game announcements, or
Yeah.
there's no big game controversies going on necessarily.
Yeah, we're in the
Not a whole-
summer dead zone.
Yeah, not a whole lot of stuff, but there's definitely some little things worth mentioning in one way or another. So we will just, I guess, get on to it at this point. So, relative to Friday the 13th, there's something that I just wanted to make a little mention to. Kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And is some poor reflections on the community and various aspects of this. So, Friday 13th was originally a Kickstarter game. One of the Kickstarter rewards was getting a special skin, a special Jason designed by Tom Savini. Tom Savini was involved with the game and helping with designs, but this is like a super special, like evil, like it almost looks like a Hell Knight Jason. He's like super dark and he has like cuts
Glowing
of fire and stuff like that. And if by chance there's anybody who's not super familiar with Kickstarter, essentially backer rewards, exclusive backer rewards, are just kind of a incentive for participating and giving money in good faith to these companies that they are going to make these games and that this game will be something good. And here's just a little extra bonus for, supporting the development of the game. It is what it is. I backed the game. I backed the physical version, which I have not received yet. And I could have thrown another 10, 15 bucks or whatever it was to get the Savini Jason skin. But at the time, I didn't necessarily have the faith in the game. I thought, I'm sure it's cool. Maybe I can get like 10, 15 hours out of it or something. So I just didn't back it. Didn't get the skin. Totally regret it because it's super cool. And it is what it is. Snooze, you lose. Again. So I don't know how this happened, but a few days ago or last week, Xbox One released the DLC for the Tom Savini or the Savini Jason skin, like out of nowhere. It was available for download on Xbox One.
And also, it was absolutely free.
Yeah. And like, people were like, holy shit, like, if you got this on Xbox One, go download this. So a bunch of people are taking advantage of it. I would have too, honestly.
I did, and I don't even own it. But as I've expressed every time we've discussed it, I really want to play it.
Yeah, so is what it is. But there's a little thing that just really, really rubbed me the wrong way, and I think it's a huge flaw with people's perception on some of these things. I don't know what this guy's deal was. So,
well, your incentive, and then
there was a certain account that I follow shared this. Oh, hey, the Savini skin's free. Get it. And people are like, oh, cool, thanks. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then there's this guy, and I'm gonna call him out. And he's at the Art of Bacon on Twitter, and he said they're gonna be pissed off about this as well. I like to watch them squeal. It's pretty funny. And I was like, wait a second. So I responded to him, and I was like, yeah, so let's mock the people that made this game happen and promised exclusive content. Like, I don't understand what the issue here and like how you derive pleasure from, these people getting screwed over. Like, that's, it's one thing of like time. I don't even know a good analogy for this. But then the guy comes back at me and he's like, yeah, because the internet isn't full of self-entitled crybabies. He's like, I bought the game. They got their money from me. It's like, you didn't back the game, though. These are people who...
they wouldn't have been made for you to buy if I had not put some money into it myself. And so, same with the other people.
Yeah, and this guy's just like, what the hell is wrong with people? Like, I'm understand like some of the controversies with, you know, the Entitled gets thrown around a lot on the internet, especially when it comes to gamers and their passion for, you know, whatever. It's
well, if it were Entitled's like when you feel like you are owed something when you've done nothing.
Yeah,
but when you're actually where you've paid for the exclusivity, you've paid the extra, you've given it your faith, your money for a thing you were told only you would get. It was your incentive, and now people who I haven't even bought it. I have it.
Yeah, right.
So I see that being a big piss off. That's like it's happened to me before too. Also with Xbox Live, the night before Mass Effect 2 came out, all the exclusive DLCs that were from Best Buy and GameStop, and even from the collector's edition, all went up at like the night before for free. All of it was free, and happened to be up. Happened to see the headline on one of my game sites. Headed over. Sure enough, I snagged all the exclusive DLC for free, and my friend was just gloating about. I was like, "Oh, I want the armor from the collector's edition, but for some reason I didn't pre-order the collector's edition." He's like, whatever. I'll have it. I'll show you a picture of it." And then the next day I showed him all my cool stuff, and he's like, "What? How the hell?" So that was more of a comeuppance for him, but I could see it being a piss off to other people.
Yeah, because like just like right out the gate, this guy is like, "Aha, fuck them people for making this game that I'm enjoying happen." It's like, what? It's like the meme that you see every once in a while on like it's this little comic strip people share. It'll be like a kid riding a bike, holding a stick, and then the next panel he's sticking the stick in the spoke of the bikes and he's laying on the ground crying.
Yeah.
And they usually put a caption like "Thanks Obama" or whatever. But it's like I don't know. I just wanted to bitch about that. You know, people.
Something tells me this might not be the only salty topic for today.
Yeah, there's
a few grapes we have.
A little salt. So let's just keep it going, I guess.
Yeah. Roll it.
Old news at this point, but we figured we'd just kind of, you know, throw it out there, share any thoughts we had on it. But the NES Classic Think Geek bundle. So basically this company Think Geek, who I didn't know this, but they're owned by GameStop.
Oh, really? I never heard that part.
Yes, they are owned by GameStop, which I think happened a year or two ago. Now that I think about it, like it was like a year or two ago, all of a sudden, like GameStop started selling Think Geek stuff in their store.
Well, they started like having a lot more swag in general around that time.
Yes.
Remember, they always had like little, you know, little knickknacks by the till, but now it's like they have racks of it and Funkos and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Think Geek is like, "Hey, we got a stock of NES Classics, and you can come and buy one. But the catch is you have to buy a bundle with a bunch of our other shit that you have to buy with the NES Classic. Like, you have to buy these statues and this plushie and this keychain, like in these bundles, and they're selling these bundles for like $200 for like the cheap ones."
And well, at least this time for the extra scalper price you're playing, you're actually getting something extra out of it.
That is true.
If we look at it like that.
That is true. But first of all, I think the big problem with this, and everybody's pointing this out, is how the hell did they get thousands of NES Classics?
Right?
Like, they didn't just like open a garage door and like, "Oh, hey, look what we found." Like,
what was this truck trailer we found on the side of the road? Oh my god, it's all NES Classics.
This is either GameStop or somebody working for them or some company working for them, where it's basically like they either withheld selling them at GameStops so they could hold on to them to a later date and sell them for higher prices, which GameStop has done in the past.
They've also done reprints of pricey games like the Wii games, haven't they? Like, didn't they put out? They reprinted a Xenoblade.
Yes.
They reprinted the Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yes, and
So they
they
could
don't sell them
charge.
for any cheaper.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Maybe,
pretty shitty.
maybe these are bootleg reprint NES classics.
But then people are like, well, you're paying more, but you're getting this extra stuff. But like a lot of that extra stuff is just like they're like garbage from the back room that they can't sell, so they're gonna like make you buy it.
We're good guy scalpers. Don't hate us.
Just what is this world coming to? Like everybody, even companies now are like becoming like these opportunistic scalpers. Like just just like shady practices. Like, oh, capitalism. Yeah, it's capitalism, free market, blah 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 blah. Like that's one thing, but being a douchebag is another thing, and this is like super douchey.
They're like, sure, you paid 3.5 times the market or the regular value of it, but you got a Mega Man scarf. How about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So there's that, and then of course everybody knows all the stuff going on about the SNES Classic and Walmart with the pre-orders going up, which is interesting. I've listened to a few different podcasts, and like I don't know if this is secondhand information or if these people saw it themselves, but they're like, oh yeah, the pre-order for the SNES Classic went live on the Walmart website and it was up for like 30 seconds, and then they're sold out, and they're actually up for like 35 minutes.
Yeah, because you had one pre-ordered yourself.
Yeah, I was like 10, 15 minutes late to the post, and yeah, I was able to pre-order it, but yeah, like, I mean, as everybody knows, it was apparently some sort of like glitch, or somebody clicked the go live button too soon, and Walmart canceled everybody's pre-order and said stay tuned for any future information.
And the world applauded. They're like, yes.
Like, fuck the scalpers. Like, I'm not a scalper.
Well, there was already people trying to sell.
Yeah.
I've got 86 of these or something.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that, like,
they were already selling them for $300.
The when the pre-order went live and it ended, I was actually talking to the Retro Bro, like, oh hey, yeah, blah blah blah, and he actually checked on eBay, and like within minutes of it going up for pre-order, people are already selling pre-orders on eBay for like $300. It's like, oh my god, what is going on with this world?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really rough. I know they don't care because they get the money.
Yeah.
But retailers just need to put a limit per one on this kind of shit.
Why is that so hard to do?
And I know people will find a loophole and they'll bring friends with them. They'll come back with a disguise. Whatever. Just like our Walmart has a one Switch per customer limit, but people just come in and bring their friend or their girlfriend or whatever, and then they buy 4 at a time.
Yeah.
So they can sell them online and whatever. So there's ways around it, but at least it would make it harder. But I mean, like I said, they don't care. They're selling them. So they're making their money, and who cares?
Right. So yeah, no pre-orders for anybody at this time. Apparently there was
Nintendo said they are going up. A bunch of retailers will have them up by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Toward month end, so.
And I don't know, I never heard a follow-up, but there was some UK game stores or something that had pre-orders at some point, but they weren't like shipping internationally or anything, so I never really followed up on that to see if they got canceled too or if they were legit. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and be patient.
Yeah, I'm still not too worried about it. I'll try and snag 2 for us the day they come out, as long as you don't get a pre-order yourself or something.
As long as they don't ban you from Walmart.
Just
banned. Lifelong
I'll try not to leave on a sour note. I'd like to say that that's why I quit Walmart.
Yeah.
I should that'll just be my on the record why I quit Walmart. I quit. I'm like, what? They canceled the pre-orders? That's it. I can't work for such a scummy business anymore.
Yeah. So I guess
that's all there is to say about that.
From the salty news, we got some random little things to look forward to, I guess, moving forward. So for anybody who is an Overwatch fan, you probably already know this information, but the new character Doomfist has been released to the public. He was in the public test realm for a week or two. Of course, there is an associated intro movie that you can go on YouTube to watch. You know, Blizzard usually does really cool videos. It's still pretty cool, but they did like a traditional animation instead of the like in-game stuff, which was different, but it's cool. Doomfist, I mean, you can probably kind of guess what the character is about. He has a big fist, big metal arm, and he punches shit.
He looks like a blinged out Jax from Mortal Kombat.
Kinda, yeah, actually. There was a lot of speculation that Terry Crews was going to be voicing Doomfist, and that has turned out to not be the case.
That's bullshit.
Like I said, well, you might already know this, but, you know, it was something that people were excited about and didn't pan out. And
it's probably too busy with Crackdown 3.
Yeah, so who knows what will happen, maybe a future character, who knows.
Well,
but then at the same time, you know, it's kind of good not to kind of, like, honestly, when it comes to the internet and Terry Crews, like, most of the internet and Terry Crews is just, like, Old Spice. You know, they don't actually, a lot of these people haven't seen many movies with Terry Crews in them and stuff.
I like Terry Crews.
Turning, like, you know, Overwatch is, there's plenty of humor in the game. There's a lot of, like, lightheartedness and, you know, sometimes it's serious and shit, but turning a character basically into one giant joke is what people were hoping, you know, we'd have Old Spice Terry Crews voicing this character.
Building kick.
Which, in a way, I'm kind of glad that that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Terry Crews is a little bit more range than that, and I think he could make for an interesting character.
I think
he just doesn't need to be the Old Spice guy.
Well, I think it would be like, because he's always just so high energy. He's just become that character. Like, he's always just crazy. Yeah. It would just kind of remind me of Unreal Tournament when they added all the media sound bites into stuff. So like Darth Vader or like Samuel L. Jackson would play when he killed someone. Or, yeah, motherfucker. Something like that. Every time you got a kill or a kill streak. So, yeah, I see what you mean there.
Yeah. But, you know, it's always good to get more content. Of course, you know, my praise of Blizzard is not unusual to this podcast. So,
speaking a little tidbit about another Blizzard game, the Necromancer on Diablo 3 is apparently W's knees.
And the new season has started.
Yes, my friend Brendan, who I mentioned would be all over it, is in fact all over it. He loves it. He's been updating me on playing through the seasons to get his armor sets and all that, and he's been hyping me up on it. Another guy I work with really wanted to try it too. I think I'm pretty sure it was because of the Necromancer, or maybe he just missed playing Diablo. And he goes, "Hey man, you got it?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can borrow it." And I forgot I'd lent it to the same friend, my friend Brendan, because he and his girlfriend wanted to play it together on their own respective Xboxes. So I accidentally lent out a game I already had lent out, so I had to like hey, he just recently moved, so I was just like, hey, do you happen to have Diablo Impact? He's like, yeah, you borrowing your game? You borrowed to me? And I'm like, yes, please, sir. I was bribed with a pasta. He's like, if you can get it to me tonight, I'll make you a pasta. I was like, well, I will get it to you tonight then, because I love pasta.
Yeah. Awesome.
Fatty at fatty at heart.
Yeah, some of my friends have been playing through it as well, and yeah,
It sounds super appealing to me, and once I get it back from the two people I have it lent it out to, I'll probably be grabbing it to check it out too, because more Diablo is only a good thing.
totally. Yeah. And then not much to talk about at this point because it seems like everybody has talked about this in one way, shape, or another. But for those who might have not heard about it or seen it, there is a Castlevania animated series that has finally been released. We mentioned it before. It is available to watch now on Netflix. 4 episodes. Very awesome.
I could say the only part of it that I was disappointed with was the amount of episodes.
Yes. Yeah.
I was expecting like an 8 to 10 episode, hopefully, season. Getting the only 4, it started off amazing.
Yes.
It continued pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
But it ended kind of seeming like it was just beginning almost still.
Yeah, it was kind of like one long episode.
Yeah, basically. It was like
4 episodes.
Yeah, so and with them only being short episodes, they might as well have just made a movie, as far as I looked at it. But
yeah, but fortunately, just on the day it was released, I don't know if anything had to do with anything, like if they were really actually waiting to see like view count and things and what people are saying, but it's already been renewed for a second season. They're talking 8 episodes, so that is an excellent thing.
yeah, that's good. Like I said, I liked where it's going. I liked what they were doing with it. I heard some people saying it didn't really feel very Castlevania to them. I disagree with that. It felt very Castlevania. I don't know which facet of the Castlevania series they were hoping it would cater to, but it felt
a lot of people complained that there was like no official Castlevania music, but at the same time, would that be a little cliche?
Well, that would be been there, done that. Like, I mean, I know some games kind of blended in with their original scores, but I'm all for new Castlevania music. Let the classics be their own thing and continue on.
It's let
as much as I love that music, I'd like to hear new ones.
The lore that they're doing, the character, which is like, I mean, they're pretty much like hitting the beginning of the Castlevania saga. It's kind of like Castlevania 3-ish.
Yeah, I know. I was very impressed with it. So
yeah, and like by excluding the music, or if they include the music, it would be like, okay, check out this story. We're doing some really interesting things. We're putting some effort into it, but they're like,
use the music you already know and love.
You remember this? Remember this? Like, I don't need...
Oh, I remember Castlevania 4.
I don't need any member berries in my Castlevania. Like, I got enough. They're hitting the characters. Like, there's plenty of relevant connections to the series. Of course, the Castlevania soundtracks are amazing. I love them. I listen to them quite a bit, even still. But, I'm fine. Like... It would be maybe kind of cool, like if they threw it in an intro or the outro or something to do some kind of like...
Outro, yeah, but like I don't need him like whipping candlesticks and it's starting off with the music right out of the gate, because then I just feel like, oh, they did that thing they did in the game.
Yeah.
Rather than this is the series I like what they're doing with it.
Right.
It would just be more like a, fleshing out of the thing I've already experienced.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't need that.
Right. Yeah, so if you have not seen it and you like Castlevania, I would really absolutely recommend checking it out.
And also, if you don't like Castlevania, GTFO, and watch it, Castlevania and love it anyway.
Yeah, right. So
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Then next couple little mentions here are keeping my streak alive. I was actually thinking about milking this because I could potentially milk this for like 3 more episodes, but I was like, you know what, let's just blow the load in one go. And of course, we're talking about Shantae news. Of course, got to talk about Shantae.
Absolutely.
Nothing big, but some cool little things to keep an eye out for anybody who is a Shantae fan. I don't actually know.
We got some Half Genie news.
I know of some friends that have played the games and are like, oh yeah, I like the game, but I don't know really any Shantae fans. There's a couple. But yeah, some cool things. So there is a company called, I think it's Chara Gumin. I don't know how to say it. Chara Gumin.
Chara Gumin.
Something.
I don't know.
It's a company that makes figures, and they are making a Shantae figure, which is available for pre-order now. I believe it was $80. Could be wrong. It's right around there.
Yeah, 75, 80, something like that.
And I don't know if this is common with these sorts of figures, but they send you the figure in pieces, and you actually have to assemble it. And it apparently it requires like glue and like X-Acto knives and sanding and stuff like that. Like from my understanding, it's painted already.
It's a model kit you don't have to paint.
Yeah, so that will be interesting, but it's a really, really fun figure, I think, and it's going to be the perfect addition to my collection, I think.
Gotcha.
So definitely check that out. I have shared links on the social medias if you don't want to look up Shantae figure on Google. And then relative to, I think, something you are playing right now is some Blaster Master Zero DLC.
You betcha.
Yes.
There's a bunch of DLC characters for it that look really cool. And of course, one of them being Shantae herself.
Yes, which is super random. Shantae and Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I sent you that. I'm sure you knew already because you're in the know on all things Shantae, but I was like, shit, guess you're going to have to buy a Switch, buddy.
Yeah.
Just to get the Shantae extra character.
Yeah, it's odd, very odd that those two made it in. But for like DLC characters, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Shantae or Shovel Knight. I know there's been a lot of people that kind of complained about Shovel Knight. They're like, oh, why the hell is Shovel Knight in everything? They were more so saying that when he was included in Ukulele, the spiritual successor to the Banjo-Kazooie game. But no, I don't know. I can't complain. I like Shovel Knight. I think Shovel Knight's awesome. And if you're going to just do random DLC throw-ins, why not Shovel Knight?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. There's also Gunvolt and Ikoro for other characters.
So they must have really kind of focused on like Inti Creates / Wave Forward Yacht Club by the sounds of it, because like those 3 companies kind of involved in various ways.
Well, why the hell not?
And I believe
each other's characters.
Didn't Inti Creates, did they do Blaster Master with Zero?
Pretty sure.
I'll have to look that up real quick just to get our facts straight.
My Switch is on right now. I'll have a look. Getting near there.
Yes, Inti Creates.
Yep.
So I guess that makes a little bit more sense then. The involvement of those companies. But hey, it's pretty neat. Blaster Master Zero, I've mentioned before, I would really like to play it, but I don't have a Switch. No plans on getting a Switch probably for some time, but if I ever do, I'll definitely pick it up.
It's a 2-player game, so I'll be bringing it down next time I come to hang out, or it'll be here next time you come to hang out.
Sure,
So
totally.
we'll throw down on some Blaster Master.
Yeah. And then a last little bit of Shantae news here is another just kind of cool thing to add to my collection anyways. And something I'm actually like really excited for. A company called the Udon Entertainment is releasing a Shantae art book. And if anybody is familiar with kind of the history of the series, there's been a large emphasis on art as they've developed the character over the years, the different people tackling the styles. Originally, Matt Bozen, and then you had Makoto Yabe from Inti Creates came up with like the Pirate's Curse like aesthetic. So it'd be really neat just to see an art book and the sketches and the development process of Shantae games. And I've always been a huge fan of art books. I love art books in my collector's editions. So just another little bit of loot to add to the collection.
Yeah, they're always cool. I just don't know what to do with them after I look through them once. So
That's true. That's true.
That's one thing I'm like, yeah, oh, that's cool. And then I just start playing the game and I almost forget about it. But
Sure.
I agree, they are a really awesome look through, especially how in depth some of the things go. You can see how like the characters, the
Evolved and
from the concept art to the actual full thing.
yeah.
All their other ideas. Sometimes they're a bit of a bummer because you see ideas they had and you're like, why didn't they do that? Or
Right.
you'll think an alternate character art looks cooler than the one they went with. And
Yes. Which has happened in the past.
Yeah, definitely.
But then just moving on to the last couple like news-ish mentions here. Not a whole lot to say about it on my end anyways, but a couple mentions of some upcoming games to look forward to, pre-orders. The one that I can't say I'm most excited about. I am super, super excited about is Undertale has a physical version coming out. Fan Gamer, who they've actually done some other Undertale stuff. I can't remember. I got something from Fan Gamer sort of recently, but for some reason I'm forgetting what it was. But there is a standard edition and a collector's edition for the PlayStation 4 for Undertale. And really, I cannot encourage people enough. Ignore what you've heard. Who gives a crap what the community and the fans are like? Take this from me. I'm not going to do you wrong. Play some Undertale. The game is fantastic. The soundtrack is amazing. And you will probably enjoy yourself if you can get over like some of the basic aesthetics, the kind of like Earthboundish art style and some of the oddities of the gameplay, which enhances the game as far as I'm concerned.
Sweet. Yeah, I know I've wanted to try it for quite a while since you mentioned. Well, I watched your review on your channel actually about it, so
Yeah.
It's something I'm looking forward to trying out at some point.
Yep. And then, of course, we've talked about it before, and
Super
finally, Limited Run is doing their release for Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, upcoming this Friday, so August 4th. They are doing a standard release and a collector's edition for Dragon's Trap. Of course, Limited Run doing the PlayStation 4 limited batch games. Looks pretty sweet. Comes in the collector's edition, has a nice, decent sized box. Comes with the soundtrack, the game. Was there an art book? No, I can't remember.
Yeah, I believe there was an art book and a poster.
And love them or hate them, I give credit to Limited Run for taking games that I want physical versions for and making them a physical version. Like I said with Dragon's Trap, that I was really holding out in hopes that somebody would do a physical release. Play Asia also did a physical release for Dragon's Trap. It's a region free, so it is what it is. I know some people really like their collection to be like specifically NTSC, but region free, I don't see how that's a bad thing. and they happened to put up their pre-orders for that like a month or maybe longer, and they finally shipped them out. So I should be getting that version pretty soon here. I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I do really want the limited run collector's edition. So I don't really see the need to necessarily have two versions of the game, but
Well, maybe I'll buy it off you.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, and I wanted a copy anyway, so I don't know, if I don't end up getting a collector's edition myself, I could sauce you some cash for that.
Yeah, so then the following week, which is going to be the 11th of August, Limited Run is also doing their release for the Night Trap, the 25th anniversary. I don't think that's a subtitle for it, but the re-release remaster of Night Trap, which I know a lot of people are kind of scoffing at it. Shitty game. Totally is. I'm not saying it's not, but I've always been a sucker for FMV games. Ever since I was a kid, as lame as they were, even when I was a kid, I'm like, this is poop, but I just like it. It's charming. The ones that they actually tried to put a little bit of effort into, I think are really cool.
You just appreciated what they were going for, kind of.
Exactly. And with Night Trap in particular is the history behind it. Night Trap pretty much made the ESRB happen along with like Mortal Kombat. But cool stuff. And with that, I would really like to recommend a video. There is a absolutely fantastic YouTube channel called My Life in Gaming. They do a lot of kind of like deep look at they have these series that kind of focus on getting the best out of your game systems. Like they've talked in depth about RGB and SCART and all these different things to help you get the most out of your retro consoles. They've done a lot of other series. They do game reviews, they do some series retrospectives, but they did this fantastic almost hour-long documentary about Night Trap and its history and the whole ESRB thing. So really recommend checking that out if anybody has not seen it yet.
I should check that out for sure. I kind of forgot. I remembered when it came out, but I didn't check it out yet.
Yeah. So, So not a whole lot of big crazy news. I'm sure things are going to start happening in the next month. Start getting some big game releases coming out, and
I'm looking forward to a couple other things that are coming out.
Yeah,
like the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 is coming out on the 8th. Also, something I just found out about somehow, the Batman Telltale series Season 2, The Enemy Within.
Oh, right.
The first episode comes out on the 8th as well.
Yeah, that seems really quick because the last season wasn't that long ago, was it? It's been out for like a year or...
Yeah, I don't know. The physical version's only been out for a couple months.
Yeah.
I'm totally down with that. They can just keep it going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I thoroughly enjoyed the first season, so that's actually I think the last game I beat.
Yeah.
Sadly enough. So I'll be getting through some more games now, hopefully with my not having to work all the waking hours of the day. My kids finally remember what I look like. More than just hey guys, okay, bye.
Yeah, and there's a few decent releases that we didn't get a chance to talk about in July either.
Yeah.
Not a lot that I was looking forward to, but there was a few things. Sundered, which was a Kickstarter game that I didn't participate in because I didn't have a physical version, that is released, and from my understanding, that will be getting, I think, a limited run release as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thumbs up to that. Looks pretty cool. I've heard some mixed things about it, but I'm still pretty interested in checking it out myself. And then, of course, the big one was Splatoon 2.
Yeah, Splatoon 2 for sure. And another one that's kind of been in the... I'm surprised it wasn't out a while ago, but I guess I must have just heard about when they started, was Fortnite.
Oh, right. Yes.
they've been working on that forever. I thought it was supposed to be out last year, and maybe it was. Maybe it just got pushed back. But it looks like a cool little game.
Yeah, and I heard some discussion on that. I think it was the Easy Allies podcast. I think they were talking about it, that they're offering it for free for the time being, and then like in a week or so, it's not going to be free anymore.
I mean, it's just a free trial.
Yeah, something like a free trial or something, and then it's going to be.
Yeah, they did that with Diablo like last week, I think.
Oh, gotcha.
Some stuff like that, where they just do like a free weekend, so everyone can try it out, do whatever they want. Call of Duty did that before.
Oh, right, yeah.
So maybe it's just something like that. I mean, it'd be cool if they were just kind of giving it away. Yeah, there's a couple other cool ones that have come out. What was the other one I was thinking of? Oh, maybe that was Fate Extella, the Umbral Star, a cool looking RPG for the Switch came out recently too.
Yeah, related to the anime series or game series or big multimedia series now.
Yeah, so I'd really like to check that out at some point. Always want more Switch games, and I think that's a exclusive, so all the power to that. I will be looking into the physical version. I don't really want to download it, but I didn't really see much on it. I remember them speaking about it, I think when they announced the Switch and they were showing all the games that were coming out for it. So glad it's out now. I mean, like, when something comes out faster than you expect, it's cool because then you're not, waiting with too much anticipation. So it's something I want to get a hold of, and Disgaea 5 I still want to get a hold of. A couple of games, I'm behind, but I'll catch up.
It's always.
Like I said, unless there's something I absolutely need, like Dragon's Trap physical copy, I'm going to try to hold off for a bit,
Yeah. Let's see. There's a couple other games that are being released. Actually, at the time of recording this podcast, being released tomorrow. A game called Tacoma, which looked pretty neat. We talked about that. I think we mentioned that in the E3 episode.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that.
Yeah, because it's by the same people who did Gone Home. That is being released. Lawbreakers, which is, oddly enough, new game, but also being released by a limited run this Friday. So that's...
Ooh, also on the 8th, there's another big one, too. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is that pretty cool. I believe it's Norse.
Yes.
The Norse game where, like, I don't know, it's like a really cool looking IP. I'm going to keep an eye on that for sure and see how the reviews go for that.
It was pretty interesting.
Checking it out.
I didn't know a whole lot about it.
The most I heard was people kind of bickering about how the character isn't absolutely godly beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, yeah, she's she's actually realistic. I'm like, she's not ugly.
I really like the studio. Yeah. Ninja Theory, they did Heavenly Sword, they did Enslaved Odyssey to the West, they did the Devil May Cry, their DMC. Then they did some other things. So, it's a studio that I've enjoyed games from immensely, and I will definitely check this one out. I don't know if there is a physical version planned at all at this point. I think it's just digital.
Okay. Well, it's a is it not a spiritual successor to the one you just mentioned? Heavenly Sword?
I don't know.
I remember hearing them say something like that. I mean, maybe I just got my wires crossed. But yeah, it looks like a game to follow for sure.
As I'm looking here, hold on, I'm trying to get that information. No, it looks like it is just it's a standalone deal.
Okay, well, I just thought it was like a spiritual successor, not like a sequel or anything.
Oh, sure.
Okay, that's what I thought I read somewhere. Maybe not.
Yeah.
As far as anything else coming out, anything that really jumps out at me is Sonic Mania is
Mhm.
coming out on the 15th.
That it is.
So if you've been looking forward to that, not much more of a wait.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Sonic make a bit of a comeback. He's fallen on some hard times in the past, and you know, the child inside really wants him to be as
Have a legit game.
be as radical as he was. I mean, like we were saying earlier, like trying new things and stuff, it's a big risk. Unfortunately, those risks haven't really worked for Sonic. They've tried what seems like everything to make him relevant or legit, and I'd say about 80% of the time it's not worked out for him lately. Sonic Generations was a pretty cool game. That's one of the only ones I can really think of in recent memory that's not been absolute garbage. I think Sonic Lost World was alright too, if I remember correctly, but
yeah,
he's had a rough go, and he deserves better than to just be competing against Mario at the Olympics.
Right. So, yeah. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. You know, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, not a lot for news, so let's hope there's more stuff announced than just little tidbitty DLCs and updates and stuff like that. Because we had quite the struggle trying to find something tangible to talk about, but it's good to be back. I'm glad we were able to do this. So we'll try to keep it more frequent.
Yeah, totally. So then I guess with that said, we can move into our closing segments here. So we'll just jump into any plans coming up in the next couple weeks. Gaming, what are you doing for gaming? What's cool?
I will continue to explore the PSVR heavily, catch up on all that. Planning to hopefully kick some ass through Resident Evil 7, see how long that takes me. I've been playing a bit more of the fighting games that I grabbed for the Xbox One, Tekken 7 and Injustice 2. I've really just got to prioritize and start pounding these out. So like I said, I'll have a bit more free time coming up, so that's actually a light on the horizon.
Yeah.
And the game room is set up that I guess I didn't really get to give that update, but that's looking good, so I don't need to worry. I can actually get in here and game. I can actually start to make videos again, so things are looking up.
Excellent.
For Jason and the Corpse Flood channel in general. So hip hip hooray.
Fantastic.
So what do you got going on besides more painting?
Yeah. More house renovations. Lots to do still. But besides that, of course, I'll be playing Nier Automata. And then if I happen to finish that, which I can't foresee it happening in the next couple weeks, probably next on the docket will either be, I think, Resident Evil 7 or possibly Hollow Knight.
Ooh, have you picked up Resident Evil 7 yet? Or are you still holding off on it? Good. It's good not to get too much ahead of where you're at.
Right.
I've made that, I don't know, I can't call it really a mistake, but that's the first world problem I am now stuck with, is I want to play this. Oh, but I want to play this. Oh, but I want to play this. And then also, my son's being born literally any day now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's
so right. There's also that to consider. But I plan to still hopefully get my game time in with my quotation marks free time.
Right.
But I'll be
in when you can.
Yeah, I'll also be setting up for his arrival, helping get the house all in order. Obviously, spending plentiful time with the kids. We've been playing a lot of Legos, but Ari's also been asking me, and so has Avison, to play some games. So now that the room is more in order and I can have the kids in here, we're gonna play some games. Obviously, they can't play the VR yet, which is a bummer. I really think they dig it, but it's it's recommended for anyone under 12, and I think it would just be scary to them, honestly. Yeah. So we'll be playing other stuff, but I've got plentiful Lego games. I got lots of kid-related stuff that they'll always got plenty for the kids.
Excellent. Cool. So then, real quick, I just want to let everybody listening know how they can get a hold of us. Of course, you can check us out on SoundCloud, and if you are on the SoundCloud website and you look to your right, you will see links to our YouTube channels, Facebook, my Twitter, and we also have Sir Flynn's information up there if you would like to check him out. He's actually getting streaming going again. He has moved to a different state, so drop in and say hello to him. Then, of course, you can look us up on YouTube and Facebook, either as The Game Grinder or Corpse Flood. Then I am on Twitter as @the_Game Grinder. Hit us up. Really looking forward to hearing some feedback. Give us your comments.
Yeah, we love it. I liked the new segment, so it's cool to just read what people are saying.
We'll kind of see how things happen. We'll explore doing interesting things with it if we can. It's kind of ultimately it's up to what all you decide to leave for comments.
Yeah, and we're also playing around with a couple ideas we might start doing. So
yeah,
stay tuned for that.
Always.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Cool. So as always, then, thank you very much for listening, and we will talk to you next time on the Game Tenants Podcast.
So long.
Later.